Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
Welcome to Curious World History. My name is Colleen.
And my name is Albert.
Hello, Albert. How are you today?
Good.
So we recently went on a trip together, and we learned a lot about a particularly very tall lady, and we're going to record an episode about her today. Who is this person that we're going to record an episode about?
The Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty. Now, before we begin, I wanted to say something to you that's pretty exciting. We have had listeners now in 21 countries and 35 states, not including Washington, D.C., which has also had some listeners. So people seem to be enjoying the podcast.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say to everybody on this, if you have ideas for episodes or like to make a comment or a request, you can email us at ideas@curiousworldhistory.com. And also, we've had a lot of people who have been buying up merch on our merch store, which can also be found on curiousworldhistory.com. So we added a winter hat and a long sleeve shirt because it is cooler weather than we have had before. So we are deep into winter now.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, you did some research about the Statue of Liberty. Would you like to begin by telling me what you learned?
So it was a gift from France to the U.S.
Okay.
It was to celebrate the centennial of American independence from 1776 to 1876.
Very interesting. So do you know what the centennial is?
No.
So there's a clue in there from 1776 to 1876.
100 years?
That's 100 years. That's right. Absolutely. So it's a gift from France to the U.S. That's very interesting. Do you know why France wanted to give that gift to the U.S.?
The long-lasting friendship between France and the U.S.
That's a part of it, definitely. They were celebrating a couple of things there, and one of them was the abolitionist movement and the end of the Civil War and the end of slavery in the United States. And that idea came from a French abolitionist whose name was Edouard René de Laboulaye, I believe was how you pronounce that last name. But you're giggling right now because you know I butcher all these names. Every single time we do an episode, and it's an international one, there is a really good possibility I'm going to do a bad job of pronouncing the name. So there was that. But there was also this excitement about the U.S.'s democracy, that we had a democratic republic, and France had moved away from democracy for a long time. And I think they were hopeful to return to that kind of form of government.
Okay. He was a French. He was a political thinker.
Okay.
An abolitionist
Mm-hmm.
who admired the U.S. Constitution and opposed slavery.
That's right. So there was some movement around the world to try to end slavery.
Mhm.
So tell me about the sculptor. Who was the sculptor who came up with the actual image?
I have no idea how to say that.
Would you like me to try to say his name?
Yes.
His name is Frederick Auguste Bertoldi. And so he was the one who came up with the actual look of the statue, the design of it. And as I understand it, the internal structure was originally started by somebody else, but that person passed away before it was completed. So actual Eiffel ended up doing it. So Eiffel is famous for what?
The Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower, another huge structure that was made in France.
The original name was Liberty Enlightening the World.
Enlightening the world. What does enlightening mean?
Like making it brighter.
Making it brighter. Yes, that's one way to look at that. And what makes you think that that might be part of the meaning when you look at that statue?
And to lighten.
Yeah. And what is she holding with her right hand? She's holding a torch, which is a source of light. So that's one way. I think another meaning of enlightenment, and what's exciting about this statue is there are lots of meanings here, but another meaning of enlightenment is to share new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. What else can you tell us?
The torch represented enlightenment, liberty, and freedom, lighting the world.
Mm-hmm.
So in the tablet, inscribed with July 4th, 1776.
And what is the significance of July 4th in
It
1776?
was Independence.
The Declaration of Independence was signed at that time, right? So in her left hand, the statue is holding that tablet, and all it says on it is the Roman numerals for July 4th of 1776. And in her right hand is the torch. What is happening with the rest of her body?
There are broken chains at her feet.
That's right, which is something you can't see when you were there and you don't see in many of the pictures. But if you can find an overhead photograph, and as a matter of fact, we will post at least one of those. We're going to post a lot of images actually on our website at curiousworldhistory.com so people can see how the statue was constructed and what it would have looked like when they were making it in France, and then how they used different parts of the statue to try to raise money for the pedestal to be built here by the United States citizens with private funds. But that's right. When you see an overhead view or a view where you can kind of look down a little bit as opposed to looking up, you can see that she's stepping on broken chains. What else can you tell me about the rest of the statue, the body of the statue?
The robe was a classical Roman garment.
Mm-hmm. There's also something interesting about the way her feet and her legs are positioned. She's not just standing like someone who's standing still. She's standing with one foot ahead of the other, so it's like she's moving forward. And I think that's pretty exciting and maybe telling about the end of slavery and the end of the Civil War, that we are moving forward with the rule of law and with this light, to move us ahead as a country. So it's pretty amazing. Do you know how tall the statue is?
Like 335 feet.
I found 305 feet. You could be right. And 151 of that is the statue, and 154 feet is the pedestal, which is built atop a stone fort, Fort Wood. It's an 11-point star. And so, Albert, tell me, how 305 feet, how many meters is that for those of our viewers and listeners who are coming from other countries?
93 meters.
93 meters. Very good.
And the copper exterior is about 31 tons.
31 tons of copper. So tell me about copper. Did it always look like how she looks today?
No.
So what does she look like today?
She's green.
She's greenish. But what did she look like when they built her? Do you know?
She was like bronze.
Yeah, like a bronzy kind of brown color.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, if anybody in here either knows what a penny is, or you've seen copper on a roof or something else like that, over time it oxidizes. It interacts with the oxygen in the air and it turns that greenish color. So Very cool.
It was constructed in Paris between 1875 to 1884, and it was shipped across the Atlantic in 1885.
That's right. And she was in 350 pieces when she was shipped.
350?
350 individual pieces. All those elements of her, they sculpted and made it together. And then what they did is they took it apart so it could be shipped in 214 crates. And she arrived on June 17th of 1885. That's right. So now the French paid for the statue to be made, but what did the U.S. have to pay for? Do you remember? The pedestal, the thing that it stands on. So the U.S. had to do that, and they had a hard time raising money until Joseph Pulitzer, who was a newspaper publisher. Have you ever heard of the Pulitzer Prize?
No.
Okay, so there's a famous writing prize called the Pulitzer Prize, and it's named after Joseph Pulitzer. So he was able to get 125,000 contributors to help pay for that. As a matter of fact, I found there is an advertisement in the newspaper, and it says, "Statue of Liberty Enlightening the World," and you can see a drawing of it. And it says, "The committee in charge of the construction of the base and pedestal for the reception of this great work, in order to raise funds for its completion, have prepared a miniature statuette 6 inches in height, which they are now delivering to subscribers throughout the United States at $1 each. This attractive souvenir and mantle or desk ornament is the perfect facsimile of the model furnished by the artist." So that was one way they were raising funds. Do you know of another way they were raising funds? So one of the pictures we're going to put up on our website is of the torch being displayed at the Centennial Affair in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. And you can see in the image that it's just the torch on a mount, and that people can come by and see what it looks like. So that was another way that they were trying to raise money. Emma Lazarus was a famous poet in New York City, and they asked her to write a poem.
Oh.
Did you hear about the poem?
It was written in 1883, and it was "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free."
That's right. What do you think that means?
It was like saying like the statue is a symbol of welcoming refugee.
That's right, welcoming refugees. Do you know why that was important to Emma Lazarus?
She was a refugee?
Not actually, but that's a great guess. No, Emma Lazarus's family had actually emigrated to the United States as refugees, but back in the 17th century. So during the 1600s, they had moved to New York. They were among the first Jewish people to move to the United States, or what would eventually become the United States. This was prior to it being the United States. And the reason that they had moved was because they were being oppressed, and they were facing violence due to the Inquisition. So they had moved, and this was an Inquisition that was happening in Brazil. They called it the Portuguese Inquisition. Well, here we are now as they're building this monument, and she's been asked to write a poem. And what's meaningful to her, and was the reason that she eventually decided to write the poem, was that there were people who were coming from Russia. These were Jewish people who were facing violence in Russia, much like her family had faced violence 200 years before. And so she wanted the U.S. to welcome these people. When we were in New York City, not only did we see this amazing statue, but we also went to a place called the Museum of the City of New York. And in it, there were a pair of candlesticks that belonged to Russian refugees, and you could see a bullet hole in the candlesticks. So that was just one example of the violence that these poor people were facing. So there's actually more to that poem, and I'm going to read the whole thing here. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning and her name. Mother of Exiles, from her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
It was originally managed by the U.S. Lighthouse Board. The torch functioned as a lighthouse, and it was transferred to the National Park Service in 1933.
Interesting. So the National Park Service is who runs it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we went and saw it. What else could you tell us?
So we had to buy the ticket and then go through security and then go on the boat and then go through more security. To get into the pedestal or the crown.
That's right. And so that's really interesting. And we saw there's a museum in the pedestal, right? Yeah. And then we went there. What I think is pretty neat is that this is such a symbol of freedom and such a symbol of opportunity for people. I found that the Concord, Massachusetts Library has some oral histories from people who talked about the Statue of Liberty and talked about emigrating here. One was Chris Anderson, who lives on Main Street or lived on Main Street. He said, "I first saw the Statue of Liberty in 1914, and I will never forget her. Arriving from Leuten, Norway with my mother, paternal grandparents, and 4 older brothers and sisters, we joined my father, a farmer who was already in Concord, to hit this 5-year-old boy with an immigrant's tag to be processed through Ellis Island. The very size of the statue meant that I was entering the land of giants." And another person, Carla Montague on Walden Street in Concord, says that she sought political freedom and a better way of life. And she came with her parents in 1956 from a divided Germany. She said, "I was 16 when I first passed the Statue of Liberty. It was an early morning sunrise when I first saw her. Everyone standing on the boat was very excited. She gave me a comforting feeling that I was here, I made it, I had arrived. She seemed so personal to me." Thought that was pretty special. So people talk about Ellis Island. Ellis Island is separate, though, right, from the Statue of Liberty, where it is. Sometimes people confuse them. Ellis Island is where they actually processed immigrants. The statue is not where they would process immigrants, and that's nearby. You can take the same ferry and actually see both.
And it was opened in 1892.
Okay.
Over 12 million immigrants passed through Ellis Island.
Ellis Island. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I know there were some famous people, as a matter of fact. One of them was Irving Berlin, who was a famous music composer.
We know you love your USA, but if you want the world to know it, now's the time to show it. Your Uncle Sammy needs you one and all. Answer to his song.
It provided opportunity for many thinkers, artists, workers, family folks, moms and dads and children, including my family, came through New York City in the early to mid 1800s. On one side of my family, the other side came down from Canada. But yeah, it was a really special place. Was there anything else you'd like to include?
They major restorations.
Oh, yes, please tell us about that.
So,
because it's an old statue and it requires, and it's on the ocean. Things that are on the ocean tend to take a beating because of the weather and the salt water. Okay.
So the 1930s restoration, they improved structural.
The structural improvements, okay.
And improvements for visitors.
For visitors, okay.
And in the 1980s, they did an extensive $87 million restoration.
Oh, interesting. And what did they do during that one?
The torch was replaced.
Okay.
And the original is now in the Statue of Liberty Museum.
Okay.
Structural reinforcements and reopened in 1986 for the 100th anniversary.
That's amazing. Do you know of another time when it was closed?
In September 11, 2001.
Oh, so they closed it was temporarily because of the terrorist attacks?
It was like millions of people visit it annually.
So can you tell me what are some takeaways that you learned from this whole process?
It is one of the most important symbols of freedom in the world.
I think so too. I agree. And the other thing I took away from it was that there are several meanings, depending on who you are and what your life has been like or what part of the history you read, that, it meant, and to honor the people of the U.S. and the relationship with France. It was there to honor the democracy, the democratic republic that we have as a government. It was a symbol that represents the end of slavery and the abolitionist movement. But it was also a symbol of freedom and opportunity for refugees. So, and it was a complicated structure, right? Very complicated endeavor. Well, thank you so much, Albert. This was a lot of fun.
This is Curious World History.